Are you good?
Mm-hmm. I'm Gucci, baby.
All right. That means you know what it's time for?
What's that?
It's time for me to say hello there and welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast with a pre-intro intro. Joining me, Corey, as always, is my co-host, Justin. Justin, how are you doing today?
Pretty well, pretty well. Having a decent day, facing the horrors of the modern world, but
The horror of the modern world. Any particular horror you'd like to tell us about today?
just all the horrors
Oh, so you just thought
surrounding
you
it.
could get by just saying something kind of vague and then no, don't.
I like the idea of the audience filling in their own horrors. Keeps me relatable.
Yes. At the country club today, they brought me the wrong kind of strudel. Not getting the audience that way that you want.
I would not join any country club which would have me.
Aha, okay, Oscar Wilde. Well, today we are talking about a brand new book for us here on the Tapcaf Transmissions. Like every book we read, I don't think we've ever done the same book twice. So I don't know why
Not
I
yet.
said that. But we're talking about Dark Nest. Dark Nest
Mm-hmm.
1, the Joiner King. So we're moving into the New Jedi, or in the post-New Jedi Order period, getting towards the later ends of Legends. Kazoo is chewing on the floor, so you're going to have to say something while I go stop him from doing
Kazoo's become a joiner. So yeah, as Corey said, Dark Nest 1, the Joiner King. I'd call it the Swarm War because I don't know. That's just what I call it. But this book. I'm very curious to see what Corey thinks with this one. This one was a bit of a slog for me to get through. So we've moved on from the Yuuzhan Vong. The galaxy is rebuilding when in the unknown regions there is an unknown call pulling Jedi, especially the ones from the Mercure strike mission, to the unknown regions, which is actually pretty compelling. I'll wait till Corey comes back.
Okay, no, I can hear you.
I was saying the idea of the Jedi being called to the unknown regions is pretty compelling. And this is what 5 years I think after the New Jedi Order. Jason's been on his spirit quest. He's been studying with. We start off and he's with Akana from the Black Fleet Crisis, learning the ways of the White Current, and he has no time for it at all. He thinks it's nonsense.
Yeah, so he's kind of gone off to space to be a new space Ayn Rand, but we get a lot of that we'll go over. And yeah, so we do see some of the after effects of the Yuuzhan Vong War. We see that Coruscant, they have ill-advisedly moved both the Jedi Temple and the general government back to Coruscant, even though it's not supposed to be habitable for another few decades. So like, you do get some stuff that tries to bring out the after effects of the Yuuzhan Vong War, but it's more like background that sometimes gets mentioned, other than the Replanet Hab, the planet rehabilitation, trying to find new planets for all these species that have been displaced, like the Ithorians, who are kind of the main group that Han and Leia are working for. But in some ways, it feels like they are trying to do a bit of a reboot. Like still put the kids, like Jaina and Jason, as like the next generation of characters for everyone to get attached to. But the trio really is kind of front and center in these books. And when all the Mercury Strike team, they're off, not responding to Jedi messages, they have their phones off.
It's
And
really weird how it's written, I thought.
how
Like
the
jarring. I thought the book was jarring.
okay, for the content, because you find the bugs uncomfortable, or the
No,
style?
no, the content is okay. The style, like, so much happens in the background. Like we see Jaina and Jace, or we see Jaina, and then next time she's like fully bug mode.
Yeah.
Like completely. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Or like, oh yeah, Jason's here now. Like, what? I was like, I had to read back. So like
Yeah.
Jason, he starts off on his own. No one's seen him for 5 years. We see the first time he flow walks, which is pretty cool. I like that because he's not only flow walking is like he's kind of moving through time. And people in the past actually saw him too, because he sees Raynar Thule, our friend from the what a callback, our friend from the Young Jedi Knights and from the New Jedi Order. He sees Jason when the is it the Tachyon Flyer, I think is the name of the ship, crashes. He sees Jason there as he's pulling the bodies of Welk and Lomi Plo out. So, and then Jason also sees his mother later on. So that's weird. That's pretty cool. It's the first time we've seen that, at least that I'm aware of. But then, like, after that, he just shows up. He's just with the bugs. It's like, why is all this shit happening off screen?
Yeah, like,
and it's just like,
when Luke and Mara and them get into the nest, like we see Jaina and the others first, and they say, "Oh, Jason's about to come here." We've seen the Jedi debating what's going on. Then Luke and Mara get there, and when we first talk to Jason when he's there, he's been there for a month. So like, there's a lot of time going on off screen where we don't really know
it's
what's
really
going on.
weird. It's really, really weird. Like the conflict is moving really quickly too. So there's a few things going on. For one, this is we can't just assume, I guess, that you guys know what's going on. There's this race called the Kiliks. They're these bugs. Have you ever heard of Kilik Twilight? It's them. They don't realize they're Kiliks at first, but they are. Or I mean, the good guys don't realize they're Kiliks. They're basically just bugs, and there's a nest on the edge of Chiss space. And the Chiss are usually the Chiss are basically preparing for a war. Everything looks like it's about to kick off. So at the same time, Jaina, Lobaka, Alima Rar, Zekk, who am I forgetting? Jason,
Tekli,
Tahiri. They're all called to the nest, and it turns out that within the nest is Raynar Thule, the friend of the Jedi Knights, back from when they were on Yavin. He's been burned horribly by a crash. That's why if you see him in some of his later art, he looks so weird. But the thing about the nest, the Kiliks, is that they have like a hive mind, and there's this sort of idea that within the hive mind, they can have non-Kiliks, non-bugs, because they are really just like big or little bugs. There's different versions. Some of them are like warriors; they're really big. Some of them are really tiny. But the nest can also take on humans or other aliens, and they're called joiners. When a Jedi or a Force-sensitive person joins, they can have a big impact on the nest. So Raynar becomes Unu Thule. He's like the chief of the nest, and he kind of exerts power across the nest as well.
Yeah, and as we come to learn, the settling on Chiss space was being pushed for by this secret nest, the Dark Nest, the Gorog, because all the Kilik nest names are like the word Kilik. They start with like their palindromes. And so like each nest has the same characteristics and they're the same person essentially. So you have your little bug nests, you have your big bug nests, but they're all like they have the Tat, T-A-A-T, the Gorog, G-O-R-O-G. But the Gorog are a nest that were made by, or that were kind of turned into secrecy by these Dark Jedi that were with the strike team on their mission, the people who abducted Raynar when he was injured. Mm-hmm. And so there's Welk and Lomi Plo, classic Star Wars characters, that have this secret nest that are like the unconscious of all the Kiliks, and are the ones that like push them to settle on Chiss base. They try to attack Luke and Mara and Saba and all these other characters, and none of the other Kiliks are aware they're there. If they do anything, they just kind of like force manipulate the other Kilik and other joiners into thinking like, oh, it must have been something else. Because the Kilik don't really have similar trains of thought to people. They just kind of go with their flow.
Like Raynar. So Raynar does still exist, and he will come back. He becomes normal again later. But normal-ish. But he's repentant. But even though he really so far hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
But he still exists, but there's like the bug part of him is kind of dominant. So like you can't really reason with them. Like he selectively ignores things. Like at the end, there's clear evidence of like what's going on, because like the Dark Nest has this like an actual physical nest where they have Chiss enslaved, and he basically just completely ignores the fact that it was because of Lomi Plo, because he almost has like a mental breakdown.
Yeah. Well, anytime
But
someone mentions Lomi Plo or Welk, then Lomi Plo and Welk like force control, or I guess Lomi Plo force controls them and basically just wipes that part of their mind repeatedly, and they immediately forget. So they always say like, "Oh, Lomi Plo and Welk died in the crash," and then they forget that they just admitted that they were alive.
I think too, like Leius at the end talks about like, because Raynar Thule did have a very traumatic. He's like basically burnt to a crisp in the fire. He's completely melted. And then you can kind of picture it. He's being tended by these disgusting bugs.
Which is kind of into that.
Yeah, but Leia's like, yeah, he's like his brain isn't working anymore. So I do think some of it is like Lomi Plo, who's a Sith Lord, using the Force to keep. But I do also think that like at the end we see Raynar is like also selectively, like suppressing things.
He's
as well.
trauma dumping or trauma trapping. I guess not trauma dumping.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
Because
TikTok psych word for it would be. Repressing.
he's gaslighting himself.
Mm.
Because the nest takes on the characteristics of the people who they take on. So Raynar, even though he's not a jerk, he's a little bit of a nerd in the Young Jedi Knights books.
Very pretentious, rich family.
Yeah,
With a 1,000-meter gallow-free transport, no less.
yeah.
So, like, picture the GR-95s that they're like taking off from Hoth
75.
Or yeah, but I think the 35 is the troop transport in Empire at War. But bigger, 1,000 meters long. The most important part of the book.
Makes other things.
They haven't made anything in a while. I think they're defunct by this point. But it describes it as like the oval shape of the 1,000-meter or the kilometer-long gallow-free transport. Like fuck,
big old thing. So yeah, but Raynar, like he's despite being kind of a nerd, he is like compassionate. So when when his nest takes him on, they start, they were bugs. So if a bug dies or gets sick, it dies or gets sick. That's the end of it. But when they take Raynar on, they make bug hospitals. They start healing each other. They put bugs and splints and stuff. That kind of scares the Chiss because they're like, oh shit, we're getting a lot of bugs really quickly.
Yeah, so
right on the edge of our space.
The thing that the Chiss don't really mention early on, so there's a few points where the Chiss are dealing with. First, the book kind of opens with the Jedi Council meeting, where this Chiss ambassador goes to see Luke in the Jedi Council, and Luke's really obnoxious with his Force use right now. Like,
yeah, he's
like, I imagine he has something important to tell us, disturbing news for us, I believe. And it's like, dude, let the guy fucking talk. Don't be like that.
Well, he did the thing where he learns people's names by reading their mind, which, come on.
Yeah, the Jedi have this whole thing going on that we'll talk about, but as far as the Chiss go,
extremely unlikable except for Saba.
Yeah, Saba is the best character in this book, but
oh yeah,
but yeah, the Chiss
and Han
in the last few decades they used to have 9 ruling families, but then after some Civil War type stuff, they only have 4 now. They lost 5 or they lost 4, and they have 5. I think they have 4 left. And that's partially the result of their relationship with Kilik labor. The war with the Vigari, when we last see them in Survivor's Quest, they're about to have this war with these nomadic pirates in the.
Did we read Survivor's Quest? I feel like
I think we did
a while ago.
Yeah. So the Chiss have this war, reduces their workforce. So they're like, hey, you know what else lives around here? Bugs. And so they just enslave the bugs and like, oh yeah, sometimes they just, if they don't have enough food, they just go off in columns and die. It's fine.
But I mean, the bugs don't seem to mind that much.
No, but
at first, because they're like, yeah, give us a bug hole to work in, and we're cool with it.
I don't know if anyone wants to work their bug hole.
Put a nuke down a bug hole. What do you get? A lot of dead bugs.
Yeah, but the Chiss don't want to be joiners. They were starting to have a lot of joiners. There's like whole ruling families of joiners, which is kind of an interesting lore video to make. The horrifying fate of the Chiss, but the then a thumbnail of Pierre Polyev. But the then later on the Chiss.
That's
So
a big bug.
the
Where'd that bug's
Chiss.
glasses go? Get that bug's glasses back. You can't see anymore.
Wait, are these bugs from the live action Simpsons? But yeah, so the Chiss are talking to the Galactic Alliance and the Jedi because they're like, hey, why is this strike team of Jedi helping these bugs we want to exterminate? And then later on, we get to see a Chiss come in and talk to Luke at the Ossus Academy, and we see like the world's craziest string of Jedi activities,
So
where
stupid,
one
man.
of the tests that the Jedi have to go through is being tickled for 24 hours without laughing, which is the hardest challenge of all.
That part was so fucking dumb. Like, there's a lot in this book that was really stupid, and like, I like the. So it's frustrating. I like the idea. You've got okay. Ignore the bugs. You got something.
You ignore
in
the bugs. It's the whole fucking trilogy.
Okay, you know what? Even not ignore the bugs. You've got some presence in the unknown region calling out to the strike team from like the most famous mission of the Yuuzhan Vong War. Jason is on his nonsense. And then, even if it is the bugs, these are not just regular bugs. These are bugs that have like some connection to like the celestial past of the universe. Because we also learn, and no one really seems to care that much, that like the bugs built Centerpoint Station, like it's kind of a really massive deal.
They
and
ultimately think the bugs are lying because like the thing with the Kiliks is they integrate the memories of everyone that joins. So a lot of their ideas are kind of like, are they true? Are they not? Like there's so much of like skewed perspective that we see in this book that I don't think we're supposed to take it as gospel truth that they did do that. Except it later does get like officially established in like source books and everything. Like, yes, they did, because Star Wars is just like that, and that's something that I complained about. Because there's part of the book where Han is like thinking. One of Han's little subplots is he's thinking like, oh, Leia needs to get back into the thick of things. She needs a new path in life. She's like destined to be in government. I'm holding her back. And he's thinking about how, like back in the day, she used to show such a spark when she's thinking about the famine on Gabagool or Gobblegook or whatever the fuck it was called, and the border tensions on Farbog. And like, to me, it seems pretty obvious that these are names that were just put in because Han couldn't have given less of a fuck where they were at the time.
Yep.
And he's just thinking about the principle of Leia being happy or doing that stuff. But of course, instead of just being Han's like semi-racist ramblings, these get turned into like actual planets in.
I don't know if it's racist.
Not racist, but Han is very racist in other ways in this book. It's dismissive of all these planets. But when he tells the Aqualish, like, your species is normally not helpful, but you are helpful. What gives? And also all the bug hugging. So he's the problem.
That's the other thing, like, and that's why it's so annoying, because Jaina, fan favorite character, you know, we want to see her on her adventure. We want to see Jason on his adventure. Before they do anything, they're fucking nearly joiners. Like, they're not full joiners, whatever that means. But like at the very beginning, they're bugs. They're basically bugs, and like they're not acting rationally. So we don't this entire book we're dealing with a Jaina who's just fucking annoying. All the other characters are mostly annoying. They're just full bug mode, and I don't get why you would do that.
But Han and Leia have a battle droid called BD-8.
Yeah.
So
they do.
There you go. I was just picturing a swole BB-8 the whole time, like same body but like these really jacked arms and stuff. So it's not all bad.
Well, they also get a bug. They get some VH droids, and they call them bug crunchers or bug stompers?
Bug crunchers,
Which
because
one?
Reynar's very offended by it when this comes up.
Which, like, to be
Understandably
fair,
so.
the bugs are sentient.
Yeah.
Like,
And they're,
and
like,
like,
allegedly they're allies going into this, except for the Dark Nest.
to be
So,
fair, they are disgusting. That's like when President Trump unveils the Canadian Cruncher
yeah.
tank. Would you be surprised? I wouldn't be.
No, he's probably drawing it right now, and it's just a fucking Tesla.
Yeah.
So at least we know it won't work. That's
Yeah, it'll catch on fire or something.
so aside from just the disappointment in Jaina and Jason, so Jaina's weird. Like Jaina's disappointing because like the whole bug thing is kind of creepy, but Jason is also incredibly creepy in a different way the
Yeah,
entire
he's just
time.
annoying. He's just like
Where
he's too cool for it.
well his whole thing in the Yuzon Vong War, he was like unsure of what his path as a Jedi was, and then you leave the Yuzon Vong War with Vergier having given the Jedi a different idea of what dark and light side is. Like she was focused on the intent behind the action is what makes something light or dark. So like force lightning is okay as long as you're force lightninging nicely. Which there's it's got its own problems. But when we get into this era of Star Wars, 2 out of 3 books essentially are written by Troy Denning. So
Mhm.
Troy Denning has a lot of control over how things are presented and how things are interpreted. And I don't think he understood what Stover was going for or what the unifying force left off with. So he's all like, I like his dialogue actually, but I don't like any of the way he actually directly handles characters. So you have this version of Jason that's like gone from his fear over choosing the wrong action to like I think the quote is something like he learned that he needed to go for his own desires first. Yeah. He learned from the Falanasi to see through the illusion of authority, to free himself of the expectation of blind obedience by respecting his own desires first. Like, he basically turns into fucking Ayn Rand the time.
Mhm.
Even though, like, the idea of Jason going down something like this path and getting kind of like eventually thinking he's the only one that has the answers to problems. I could see that coming from where Jason was in the Yuzon Vong War, but to get this jump immediately to this version of Jason that Kazoo is very upset by, I don't know if you can hear that, but
I can't know.
but he's like Jason's just kind of fucking around. He's very creepy, and I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't
Yeah,
let Ben spend time with him if I was Mara.
he's creepy. Yeah, I was thinking that too. He's creepy, and Jaina basically turns into like a like one of the kids in the like a drama kid, or
Yeah.
like one of those kids who eats lunch under the stairs at school, who's in all the plays.
Hmm.
Like at the end, she ends off like she's rubbing Zekk's arm because she gets kicked out of the nest, but they're still like pretty bug like. And Han is just fucking disgusted the whole time.
Yeah,
Which
as he should be, because the like PDA, there's too much PDA.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I thought that
the
was extremely relatable.
did Jaina and Zekk end up banging? They didn't in the
I
scene
mean,
that
it
we
seems
saw,
like it.
but
Well, I think they probably did. I think they're just playing cool.
okay.
That we joked before this started about like how the bugs have like
Giant
fuckfest.
orgy. No,
Like the
they this
bugs
is what they do.
actually do have fuckfest.
And it's I
Like
think it's weekly because it's the song of the intimacy of the mating time every week. Song of
yep.
the morning.
Well, at one point, Jaina also changes in front of Raynar.
Yeah. So
There was a lot of sex jokes in this one.
there's not a single so a lot of the women, it's hard for them to get through a conversation without just being like entirely sexual. Like
Mhm.
Alemarar doesn't do a single thing without sex being referenced in this.
Which I didn't. I didn't. Yeah, because she's a Twi'lek.
Yes. So
And like she specifically wears a tight-fitting spacesuit where like nothing is left to the imagination, is what they say.
yeah, he says that she's wearing a size like she picks out one that's 2 sizes too small, so it's tighter. It's like, no, that's just uncomfortable. That won't fit you. That doesn't work for a spacesuit that needs to be. It doesn't work. Is Troy Denning like this in Halo?
Oh, and Halo. I haven't read that many Troy Denning Halo books, to be honest. I don't know if I've ever read one.
Okay.
Maybe one.
Yes, but like there's a time. So Han and Leia, when they're on their way out from or back to the nest, they have a Lemurrar with them because Alema agrees to go back to Coruscant with them. Like half the squad agrees to go back with Han and Leia and Luke and Mara to Coruscant because they've been kind of dispatched by the Tat or Raynar to do specific missions. Like Tessar goes back so he can go talk to Raynar's mom to get their giant Gallifrey on board to
I
transport
remember
stuff for the
Rayner's
nest.
mom. I wrote this down as a note. They tell his mom about like Raynar's fate, and she's like he he says basically your son is the king bug, and she's like, oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It's
Like what?
it's not quite CEO, but it's COO, so that's where the real power lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, king bug.
Scenes like that make me glad my mom's both not like that and dead.
Yeah, your mom would. I think she'd be proud if you were king. If you were king bug, but she'd be surprised.
She'd be like, "Oh, why can't you be King Bug? Like,
Yeah.
don't doubt
You should
yourself.
be.
You can be King Bug. If all these other people
Yeah.
they think they can be King Bug, so can you.
Maybe emperor bug even.
Yeah. So it's nice sometimes. But yeah, so Tessar for some reason is the one delegated to go break the news of this and negotiate for the ships with his mom. I would send literally anyone else in the group but Tessar, but that's just me.
Terrible choice. I would send Lobaka first.
Then Tahiri and Tekli are sent. Well, Lobaka was captured by the Chiss at that point already, right? So
Was he? Yeah.
he's gone pretty much the whole time.
Was after the first attack, yeah.
Because the big theory around that is that this was when George Lucas was like, no, there's no Wookiee Jedi. So Lobaka had to be, because I think he gets exiled to some fucking to like Dagobah or something, right? And then he's just gone until Legacy of the Force.
Yeah, I forget why. It has something to do with him being captured, I thought.
Yeah, it's part of his punishment for, I don't know. Luke makes him do it. But anyway, so Tahiri and Tekli, I think, are the two that go to negotiate with the Jedi.
Is sick.
Yeah, and now look at how many we have. At least 3.
Yeah.
And so Alema is actually sent by the Dark Nest. So, because even Jaina and Zekk are surprised when she goes, and we find out that Luke has expected Alema to fall to the dark side the whole time, which was
even before, yeah.
I think it's kind of obvious if you go back,
but like maybe try to do something about it.
No, that's not what the Jedi do anymore. They don't do things about stuff. They just decide.
Luke is such an asshole in this. Like he does so many bad things. He force chokes. Well, I guess that's what we were talking about. I think even Luke, because we're talking about how maybe Troy Denning doesn't understand. Maybe he does because, and I got to read the rest of it because it's been so long. But Luke does force choke Welk under the principle. Hey, I'm doing it for the right reason, and then he's like, you know what? It's still wrong.
Yeah, like,
and Mara Jade is using Force Lightning, and he's kind of cringing.
Yeah, the Luke's whole plot through is like, oh, maybe the Jedi have lost their way. It, like, my thing with Troy not understanding it is he gets the thing they're getting wrong. Like, this isn't the same wrong stuff they're doing at the end of the NJO. It's like the Jedi now are thinking, oh, there's no such thing as the dark side. We embrace the whole Force. But now Luke's like, no, actually, kind of is a dark side. It's bad, actually. And because like Luke is getting puffy Palpatine face for doing some Force projections, but that thing that he's doing with the Force projection, he makes like a visual copy of the ship to sneak into the Kilik space, and that's fine. It's just a lot of Force use. People glow a lot though too, but yeah. So they're bringing Alema back.
I liked when Mara was like using all of her energy to like hold herself together, and then she like shoots it out. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like if you listen, if you make it cool, I'm willing to look past a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's like some Tuna Menace type shit.
But they're bringing Alema back to Coruscant. They find those planets that they're gonna move they want to move the Kiliks to by the end. Because if they end up thinking like, oh, if we can move the Kilik somewhere else, they're not gonna be on Chiss space. And the Chiss Force is actually commanded by Jaina's ex-boyfriend, Jagged Fell. But they have Alema.
Our ex-boyfriend.
They get to yes, very, very kinky. but they get to these planets and there's like flowers on the planet, and Alema mentions them as like, oh well, how do these get pollinated? And Leia's like,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't know they had flowers on Ryloth. What a fucking condescending comment to make. Flowers, they're everywhere. But
Yeah,
that's not.
Ryloth was was a lot shittier in Legends than it is in canon.
I think it's still equally shitty in the Clone
It's
Wars,
pretty
isn't it?
bad, but in like Legends they couldn't live on. I remember reading like a lot of them can't live on the surface. I think they talk about it in the X-Wing series.
And in Young Jedi Knights. There's like
Yeah,
because it's the dual hemisphere situation where like one is
yeah,
unbearably hot, one is unbearably cold, and then you have the circle, the habitable zone that's in the equator.
yeah.
But rather than just be like, oh well, I was raised on like I've been in the galaxy before. I've seen a fucking flower. I trained on Yavin. Uh,
Yeah, true. Yeah, they
Alema's
got
like,
flowers on Yavin,
well,
believe it or not.
actually, we have sex, and when men want sex, they bring flowers. That's
Fair play though, fair
nice.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I used to bring flowers to the club.
you just hand them
Make
out.
sure you can't bring that in. All right. That's why I was never successful. I didn't get to bring my flowers in.
Yeah, that's if only how different things could have been. That's why whenever we go to the bar with Charlie, he's always got a bouquet.
Mm-hmm. He hides them in his lifts. God bless him. God bless him.
Okay, so I got my notes here. I'm just making sure I'm not missing stuff as we go through that was important. So when Han and Leia are first getting to the nest, they end up in like this cantina in Kilik space essentially, just so that they can have a complete rerun of of like episode 4 Mos Eisley Cantina, because they find their own like captain and furry companion thing with Jay June, the Celestian, and Tarfang the Ewok, his co-pilot, who are big fans of Han, except for Tarfang is a fucking socio or psychopath. But
Yeah.
yeah,
He tried to steal the Falcon at the end.
yeah. Well, wouldn't you? They lost their ship.
Yeah. And again, that was like another thing where like they never actually we kind of get the idea of what happens, but like we don't actually see the Falcon get back, but I guess you can just assume it's fine.
I
But yeah.
thought I always forget about Tarfang and June, and I just assume that Sly, Amala, and Grease are around the whole time. But I
Yeah.
think they're not in until
I
next time.
I did like they were fun, I guess. There's a lot of like a lot of the book is Falcon travel.
Yeah.
We had a really weird hyperspace moment where um they like fly through a nebula and they get like Doctor Whoified or something. It
Yeah.
was like kind of a
Speaking
weird Star Trek episode.
backwards and
Yeah, their faces are all stretching and because like Leia's like spins the ship around
Mhm.
in hyperspace, which is apparently something you can do.
Yeah, it
I did
is that
like the
when no, never mind. I thought that was something else. There's a moment where someone has the face of a someone who walked in on two mating to Gruda, but that was when they're the Cam and Tion are coming into the meeting with Cal Gomez.
yeah. Oh yeah, because we haven't talked about. So this is the when did this book come out? Exactly.
2004?
Yeah. So this book is 2005, which makes sense because we are now after, or it's releasing alongside Revenge of the Sith. So for finally, Legends is caught up with the prequels. So one of the other plot lines that gets played more in the later books is that R2D2 is they've discovered all these secret recordings that R2D2 is trying to hide
Yeah.
from the Clone Wars.
R2 had a bootleg copy of episode 3 essentially that he's trying not to show Luke.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the badly translated Chinese ones.
Backstroke of the West.
But yeah, so Luke's got different droid in this one, which is good because I'm pretty sure his X-Wing gets destroyed
Yeah.
and his R9 gets fucked. So like I guess that's good that wasn't R2. Thought funny how that happens. But yeah, R2's like he's like falling over and like going in the wrong direction. He forgets what planet he's on. He basically
He's
has
drunk.
like he's more drunk than usual.
Yeah, and it's more stuff that's basically trying to redo episode 4, where like Luke kind of stumbles upon the recording of this woman while he's cleaning R2 or fixing R2. So he sees like a conversation between Anakin and Padme, then sees a bit of a conversation between Padme and Obi-Wan. So he wants to know more, but R2 thinks he's protecting Luke by not showing him. So we do get a whole subplot of like getting Gent, the slicer from the Thrawn trilogy, to try to get the stuff out. And Gent gives Luke a side quest to do in these books where he needs the data pad from the Intellect's chipset designer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's something that maybe you can reconcile this, because I'm confused.
Okay.
He says that the R2 were an Imperial design.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
R2 was around for a long time.
Yeah.
Before
Did Troy Denning not actually watch episode 1? Was he like, oh, I'll get to those later?
He might have.
Is he still operating on the original Empire versus Republic period of Star Wars?
I'm just trying to think. Like there might have even been. You know what's funny? I was watching, of all things, a video about old PC games,
Mm-hmm.
and someone had the Phantom Menace one, and they were opening it up, and they were flipping through the manual, and I paused it on the page that said Coruscant, and one thing that I found was interesting is that it had the capital of Coruscant listed as Imperial City, even during the prequel era. So, yeah,
That does make sense.
yeah.
Oh, I'm being called to heaven.
That's not good.
No, it's not. But you know who won't be called to heaven is Jason Solo after he becomes a Sith Lord. Because he's also saying, Jason took a seat at Omas's side, then said, I'm a Jedi. All you need to know is that my reasons were sound. And when he's saying this, he's referring to the fact that he went to Hape in space. Him and Tenel Ka are now Facebook official after decades of will they or won't they.
He's put a baby in her as well.
Yes. Well, Tenel Ka says one night will be very useful. And it was very useful because now she has an heir.
And he's got a Hapen battle fleet.
Yeah, he does this because he wants the Hapen battle fleet to go and reinforce the Kiliks. And they end up being very useful because the Hapens, like, all the nests get rebuilt on Hapen ships and they ferry them over. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing the Hapens would actually be up for, but hey, more power to them.
Yeah, the Hapens don't come off as particularly
Intelligent?
Intelligent or like conciliatory or helpful. But I guess Tenel Kosh kind of, because we still don't know what happened to Tenennial Joe at this point, which I think we learn later.
Yeah. No, Tenennial.
Or maybe we learned that. Did we learn that?
That's in NJO where she's. Yeah, because she was at least infirm, and that's why Tenel Ka.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think she dies after Gondor.
I can't remember. Goddamn, 19 long.
I'm pretty sure she dies in maybe in.
Yeah.
She's got to be dead in. No, she's not dead in Dark Journey. Hachum was trying to hook up. Does she die in Dark Journey?
I don't remember.
Died, yeah, 27 ABY. In Dark Journey, yeah. Or that's just when we found out that she died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so she's been gone.
Okay.
But
Rest in peace, Queen.
And this is maybe the last time we really see Jason and Tenel Ka together that doesn't involve some crimes being committed, so that's good.
Yeah, because he's always sneaking over in Legacy, but
yeah,
he's pretty bad at that point. Yeah, it wasn't even like particularly, I don't know, it wasn't a super nice visit. I guess they go to the island, which is cool. All of her suitors have their arms cut off because so does she.
Yep.
Which is kind of freaky.
It's like Victorian fashion. This is just how people act around royalty. I don't know if that happens
Yep.
with like Alderanian royalty, but that's what happens on Hapes.
We didn't get one thing about her not wearing shoes until she takes them off, which I thought was surprising.
Well, that's Tahiri.
Oh yeah, that's Tahiri,
I think
right?
I think Tenel Ka.
Yeah,
I think
you're right.
shoes
No,
are
you're right.
customary on Dathomir, not on Tatooine.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I got my T side characters mixed up.
Well, there is the thing where where Silgal decides, like, she's trying to figure out how the mind meld works, and to do this to see how like integrated Alema is with the Dark Nest, especially, she decides she has to like torture the bugs a little bit, and so Tessar is very offended by this. Tekli's a little offended by this. Tahiri's like, that was actually kind of epic, because she's still half Yuzon Vong, so good for her.
She's like, yeah, no, I dig that big time.
Like a religious experience.
Yeah, that was. They're like, no, and we can't. Unfortunately, we do have to torture it for a long time because it's got to lose all hope.
Yeah. So we have 2 council meetings essentially in this book, maybe 3, but there's Luke's new council in action. We hear that the Jedi don't really get told what to do by the council. They don't really get told what to do by the New Republic. Jason thinks that the Jedi's responsibility to stay pure should be on themselves. It should be up to the individual Jedi to prove that they've been taught well and just kind of do what they think is right. But how did you feel about the debate between like Kip and Octa on one side saying like, no, Jedi do what Jedi do, and Kent and Corner on the other saying, no, we should just work for the Galactic Alliance?
It's just boring. Like, we've had it already, and I think there's a better way to do it than they get in a screaming match twice, both times I think in front of like important people. Like,
and then Luke says, "Is this how we act?" And they're both like, "Oh no, no."
Like,
let's do this
like
again.
you're not giving us any leadership, dog. Like, what do you mean?
Guys,
Well, yeah,
it's bad if we use Force Lightning again. Oh, okay.
Orin continues to be a fucking cop. Speaking of, I want to talk about this. Have you ever read the story? Well, I sent the picture in the group chat. Have you ever read the story Sidetrack before?
Maybe.
So, you ever seen that image with Thrawn wearing what looks like Boba Fett's armor?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm sure I've read it, but I completely forgot about it. It's got to be the wildest fucking legend story of all time. It's co-written by Michael Stackpole and Timothy Zahn. And so I was doing a video on the Battle of Dara 4, which comes from initially the episode 5 radio production, which you should listen to if you haven't. Fine viewers, it's very well done. Mark Hamill is in it, Billy D's in it, Han Solo's characters, his voice actor is not great, but full music, it's really cool. It starts with the rebels having a convoy destroyed by the Empire, and Sidetrack tells the story of how this happens in perhaps the most convoluted way. So, and like it's the most fan servicey, like fan wanky story of all time. I don't mean that in a bad way because it was, first in Star Wars Gamer, I think, and then in Tales from the Empire.
Hold on, don't use slurs on the podcast, Justin.
What, Gamer?
Yeah, dude.
It was in what?
Okay, keep talking, but like, come on, try to clean it up.
I won't say the G word anymore. But so, Boba or Grand Admiral Thrawn goes undercover as a guy that looks like Boba Fett but isn't Boba Fett, another bounty hunter that's well known with Mandalorian armor, not Boba Fett. They capture this shuttle. The shuttle is actually smuggling supplies for the Alliance, but they're just acting. It's not a shuttle; it's a transport, rather. They're acting like they're ordinary business people. They're captured by a Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer says, "We got no civilian ships. You got to make a supply run to Corellia for us." They go to Corellia. Guess who they meet? Corran Horn and Hal Horn, Corran's father, who usually only hear about him talked in past tense because I believe he's killed by Dengar.
Bosk or
Bosk, is
Kratos, I
it?
think. It's either Bosk or his dad. I think it's Bosk himself.
Okay. One of the bounty hunters. So we've got Thrawn, Corran Horn. They go on this mission to kill Zekk, who I believe is the criminal from like one of the criminals from the X-Wing series. He's the one with like the blotchy skin. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. I think he's from like Shadows of the Empire, though.
Oh, is he? Because yeah, he is Black Sun.
Oh no, he's in Wedge Scamble.
Yeah, because the whole thing, he's one of the ones they released on Coruscant. Because the whole thing is, Thrawn basically has this super convoluted plot to kill Zekk, who's the Black Sun representative on the planet, because Darth Vader wants him to do it, but he can't because him and Shizor are beefing. But it's got to be like on the down low. So he's got this crazy plot where he meets with Corran Horn. They do have a talk about art, and Corran Horn says, we always joke about Corran Horn wanting to fuck Salonians. He says that his favorite art is the nude Salonian studies. So
we don't joke, like he did fuck a Salonian.
He did fuck a Salonian, and he clearly had been thinking about it for a while. Anyway, he gets betrayed by Thrawn, but not actually. Thrawn saves him. They go their separate ways with like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And guess who the Imperial... They get back. It's all successful. Zekk is captured. Guess who the ground commander is? Who does it?
Veers.
Yes. It's Maximilian Veers. And guess who the guy on the Star Destroyer is that they're rendezvousing with?
Awesome.
Curtin Lore from the X-Wing series. But all these connections are just starting because...
Well, now you're just spoiling our side trip podcast.
We should do it because it is a fun. It's probably like 80 pages long, but
there's probably more to talk about than in the comics.
Probably. After that, Thrawn gets the Nogri from Vader, as a reward, and the rebels who they discovered, they also put a tracker on, and then they use that tracker to track them to Dara-4. Which leads to this big event. And then at Dara-4, that's where Soontir Fel is made a Baron because he gets a bunch of kills on rebels, and he gets the 181st Squadron. And also, that's where Rogue Squadron comes from, because Rogue Squadron replaces Renegade Squadron. And also, it's why Thrawn leaves the known galaxy.
So you're saying that some important stuff happens?
Yes.
With some notable characters.
I'm saying fucking... Because this released at the same time as the Rogue Squadron comic. So half this happens in the book, half it happens in the comic. What I'm saying is like Timothy Zahn and co. who just could not control themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That'll make a good episode.
You should read the X-Wing comics. Because I was reading them and I was really enjoying them.
Eventually we're going to run out of books and all we'll have is the comics. The comics are fast. They're kind of like, originally when we started the podcast, we only did episodes every other week, right? So that was how we did the books. So us adding in the comics is, we're going to get through everything so much faster. I have the notepad open of all the books that we still have to do. And it's not long. At least in Legends. But anyways, with Dark Nest, so we find out a bit more about the Chiss society that we've already heard about a bit. We find out that that Chemfel was actually a secret kid that Formby and the other Chiss didn't know about. So Jag is going to get more involved again. Him and Formby are in charge of the battle with the Kiliks, and it's great that the politician and the one other guy we've ever heard of are in charge of this. It's very convenient. Forbid. I guess Swek was new, but he sounds more like a Siru, so they should check that out.
Sorry, Green. I just got to interrupt you because Green Onion points out Luke almost did get invited to it. Well, Luke was invited to a threesome with 2 Ishi Tibbs.
Yeah,
and he basically says, "Girl, what that beak do?" because he's like, how does that even work? And they're like, we'll make it work.
Yeah, and then they're all very offended that he didn't actually mention that he was already married, which is like, yeah, you didn't. And this could have all been avoided. This is entirely on him.
Yeah, Luke's a beta male.
That's not the point I was making.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, but
See two fine ass
wrong.
ishy tibs trying to give you some beak action. You make it work.
Do you though?
Kelsey, I got a 5-person list for Kelsey. 4 of them are ishy tibs.
I thought you were gonna say the fifth one is every ishy tib.
5th one is every Zeltron. Close.
I don't know. On the Smash or Pass list, I think ishy tib is in the pass category.
I got ishy tib. I got Punk. Got Rissom specifically.
Calibop, you wanna?
Yeah,
There's a euphemism in there somewhere.
there is, but I'm not clever enough to think about it. What are
What's
some
that?
other like not fuckable aliens?
Ketonic? One's in this book.
Oh, the
butt face species?
Defel? Oh,
No, one of
I think they're,
the
like,
when they're
Defel smoke
doing
monsters.
the somersault, the aerial somersaults over Formby. One of them is a Ketonic, and their faces just look like buttholes.
You trying to convince me it's not a good option? You ever see
You
that
know the
one
species
that's
I'm
like
talking
just,
about? Do you know? Do I need to post a picture? Like the mole people?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Oh yeah.
I'll drop this in. Okay.
Do you know Croaks? Those are a good one.
Yeah. Did they have?
Like a million. I think that's Croaks. The one with like a million eyes. Is that Croaks?
No, Croak is. They look.
Oh no,
Croak is
those are little
humanoid.
sucker thing.
It's
What are
Lugubra
those?
that are the sucker things.
Oh, the Vivurians. That's what it is. Vivurians. Look up Vivurian.
The Vivurian?
Vuvrian.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
eyes
because
everywhere.
one of them in I think it's episode 4 has a Jedi robe on. So that's pretty sick.
Formerly just known as a robe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has that been? Is Ghostly a Jedi?
No, I was just looking at that too. I don't
It
think
feels
so.
like Star Wars is. There's multiple Force sensitives or former Jedi in Mos Eisley Cantina. One's wearing
Yeah.
a goddamn Jedi robe, and you're telling me that Star Wars authors were able to
Come
control
on, man.
themselves?
Yeah.
Disappointing in some ways. But yeah,
Apparently that was the one. Apparently they bought the speeder from. That's the one who bought the speeder from Luke. Okay.
I always wonder what
remember
happened to that speeder.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
God, what I'd give to be just go back in time and just get to be an alien in some stinky fucking Zed movie horror suit, the back of Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah, everyone else watches Star Wars like, I want to be Luke Skywalker. I
Not
want to
me.
be Han
Fuck.
Solo. You're like, oh, I want to get fucking drunk in that dive bar.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. You know how much time I spent reading about Woo Her or whatever his name is, Woo Her, and the fucking all the secrets of the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah,
That's why I had that book. I used to love it. Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina. So
we'll have to cover it someday. But yeah, so we end with a confrontation with the Kiliks and Chiss, but Leia's plan works. They get well killed. The Kiliks are convinced that the Dark Nest exists temporarily. Raynar has a bit of a crisis, but then he's convinced that it's his idea to move to Han and Leia's new planets. Cal, very upset that the Jedi aren't his, and we still have a Lomi Plo out there. Is there any other major
Well,
plot?
we don't know because we haven't actually seen Lomi Plo. I don't think. We don't see her during the battle, do we?
They're like she's acting in it. We don't
there.
like see her.
She turns off the lightsabers, right?
Yeah, she like power drains. She's got some fun powers. Lomi Plo, I think, is a fun character in this.
Yeah,
In the trilogy as a whole.
I think the idea of I actually like the idea of both Welk and Lomi because Welk's like half bug at this point.
Yeah, his arm was like pulled out when they were getting pulled out of the ship, and he just gets a new bug one attached, which he gets cut off by Saba. Then he has a new bug one attached later on. Good stuff.
That's what's so frustrating about this series is it's got cool ideas. Like I think that I think like this crash that happened and like this kind of like really like this horrific thing that happened during this really heartbreaking day, kind of like reverberating through time
Yeah.
and like you know the actions of someone trying to do the right thing and saving them having this horrific effect.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. But like, and same with like, they're like the trauma from like the day as a whole it's interesting, but it's like bug.
Yeah, like you start off thinking like this could be some psychological horror type thing where like the Jedi on the Mercury Strike team, they developed this Jedi mind meld that they use in battle a lot, and they were all having trouble coping through life, partially because of the trauma, partially because like they can't be around each other without just invading each other's thoughts. So they don't really clock what's going on with the Kiliks at first. They don't think the Kiliks are part of their meld because they're just so used to communicating telepathically with each other, and then that just turns into bug.
Funny bug.
Bug dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know where are you gonna put the first Darkness or first Darkness book on your rankings?
There are things I liked. I like if you haven't read the books up to this point, this book says fuck you. Like if you don't know who Raynar Thule is, like that's one of the big reveals is that it's Raynar Thule.
Yeah.
So like I appreciate that. We're pretty far into the expanded universe. It pulls no punches. It doesn't tell you what the Hapens are, who the Hapens are, what the Chiss are. We do get a Chiss Star Destroyer, and it's actually kind of described as well, which is nice. Troy Denning usually does an okay job with that.
But
it's a C for
It's
me.
a fucking a Victory Star Destroyer, essentially, which is kind of...
But well, they call it a victory, but then they describe it in a way that sounds nothing like a victory. So I think someone's got bugs for brains. And I do actually really like Han in this book.
Yeah.
Because Han is getting old. He's what, 65, I think?
Yeah.
And he is not as fast as he used to be, which that will change. He will become superhuman again. He's not as fast as he used to be. And like Corey mentioned, he's having a lot of doubts about like Leia's life. Which we forgot
she's
to
only
mention.
40 at this point. No.
Is that she's got to be like 45?
No, she's like 55, I think. We're at 35
Isn't
ABY.
she 12 years?
She's 55.
Isn't she 12 years younger than him?
Well, this is set in 35 ABY, I'm pretty sure. And she's born in 19 ABY or BBY. So she's like 55. Around there.
Yeah. Because Han was born in 32, so he's
67, 65,
14 years older than her. Right?
Yeah.
Either way, it's weird. But yeah, he's getting older, but she they've been living on the Falcon because Coruscant obviously is being reconstructed. But he's like, she's got to be in it. Like she's a good diplomat still. She's a powerful woman. She does a great job in this book. I did really like both them in their dynamic. But at the end, she decides that in fact she wants to be a Jedi, an actual Jedi, not just
Saba's apprentice,
which is fun.
Yeah. Luke's like about ready to offer her a fucking council seat. Like, no, I want to actually
She's
learn
like,
how to do this job first.
I can't even use the Force really.
My version of using the Force was distracting her with Han. Well, distracting Alemma with Han while I hit her with something. And I have Nogri. It's also like having the Force.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nogri are pretty chill in this. We get Nana, Ben's Nana, because this is the first time Ben's really been around also.
Yeah.
And he really likes peanut butter sandwiches and pop. But he does steal Gorog. Who's
he gets a little joinery.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, was Gorog chill for a minute or no?
No, Gorog wants to protect Ben, but I think it's partially because if Ben joined, Lomi would have full control over him, and he'd be super powerful when he grows up. Which,
Yeah, because
considering part of Lomi's reasoning for running away and for being so invisible is because she's afraid of what Luke Skywalker might do to her if found, I think fucking with Ben is not the way you accomplish that.
yeah, and Ben is still kind of scarred from things. He's kind of cutting off from the Force a little bit. I will say they're too hard on themselves. Like they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we always had to leave Ben behind like dog. This isn't like Han and Leia where they're like, yeah, unfortunately no one else can handle this small crisis but us. It's like y'all were dying in great numbers.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? He was like a year old. Like, what were you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. I do think the plot of like Ben cutting himself off from the Force intentionally is interesting.
And then they do connect it with Appleoth later on, where she was basically like mind fucking him.
Yeah, that part's a little like
I
prefer the fact that he's a kid who went through something kind of intense while being like having a strong connection to the Force, so he'd be able to sense this. He was deprived of his parents. He was kind of aware of what's going on with the war, and it kind of scarred him. But like, I like it's kind of the same thing with the Mercury Strike Team, where I enjoy the kind of psychological background that they've got going on for it, and then it just does fall a little flat. But I do enjoy the relationship between Jason and Ben, other than finding Jason kind of creepy. Of like how, because it is this kind of like what Han and Leia even say of like, it's this hint of who Jason used to be. It's like that empathy that he had coming back through, and that's why he's able to connect with kids the way he does. Like it doesn't quite jive with his like super self-importance thing, because like part of his empathy comes from this feeling that he's not special, he's not above other people, he's like trying to find his way to serve in the galaxy. But then it's, oh, I must go for my own interests first, and that's what makes me good. And I don't know, it's a bit of a dichotomy.
Young Jason would have loved to be in a bug nest.
Yeah. And Han even says, like, we let him have too many strange pets as a kid.
Oh, we didn't talk about, speaking of we didn't talk about Lobaka's MTD.
Oh, fused.
Just fucking dead. So, yeah, that sucked. He was a fun droid.
Yeah, it was kind of, even though I've read these books like 3 times and I know it doesn't happen, every time I get to that scene, I just hope that Jason's going to pick him up and they're going to fix him.
Yeah. It's like some people watch Revenge of the Sith and hope it goes differently. Corey just wants the fucking translator droid fixed. I forget. I think it must have been Tahiri who asked, or no, it must have been Tenel Ka who.
Yeah, it was Tenel Ka, because it was when Jason went to visit her, and she's like, "Oh, Loie would have liked to have him back," because she was around MTD more than
around. Yeah. Tahiri wasn't around him at all. She was in the other book series at the time.
We never interacted. The scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've actually read most of Junior Jedi Knights.
No, me neither. It'd be a job
I feel like
for
we'd have to do it differently than we did Young Jedi Knights. Because I think Young Jedi Knights, when we were doing that was the peak of the Tapcaf doesn't talk about the books thing. Because it was just, we like them, but there's like nothing happened. There's nothing to talk about in those books. It's just like, yeah, there was a group of aliens that wanted equal rights, and the kid shut it down.
Yeah, the kid said that's not cool.
We got a good thumbnail on it.
You weren't born into immense privilege. Figure it out. Hey, we got a pour on the team, Zekk.
We don't even care that he smells.
Yeah, we don't let him fly the Falcon with us, but
we don't let him sleep in one of our 20 guest rooms. He has to stay in the sewer.
He sleeps in the jungle. It's fine. Sewer, yeah. No, he wants to be in the underworld, in the sewer.
He tried to eat the potpourri.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
But yeah, so we'll keep tracking the Jason and Ben of it all as we go into the Unseen Queen in 2 weeks, I think.
Yep.
There is an Acolyte book coming out. I don't know if I should even ask if you want to.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
Okay, so we'll do
I've
the
got it.
Acolyte
I've
book
been
then.
controlled F for Plagueis yet, so I'm gonna do that probably soon.
Hmm. I'm not sure if it's set
It
before.
is. Yeah.
Okay, you got the early copy downloaded? Have you?
I don't have it downloaded, but I've got it.
Okay. So do you know when it comes out? Are we supposed to talk about this? Maybe we're not supposed to talk about this.
And we can talk about it. They don't
Okay.
care. Acolyte Wayseeker releases. Oh, not for a bit. May 6th.
Okay, we'll hold off on that because we wouldn't be talking about that until mid-May at best then. So yeah, that
Yeah.
we don't have to worry about that. So it'd be who's it by?
Christina Ireland.
Okay.
He's done a bunch of hieroglyphic
Yeah.
stuff. Trying to see if I liked any of her books.
I don't know if we read or I don't know if you read any of her High Republic books. But I think she did one of
No.
the ones that I did with Ilkin or
Oh my god, Murphy fucking stinks. He was at daycare today. He stinks. He needs a bath, dude.
Kazoo
Oh,
keeps.
God, fucking stinky ass dog, man.
Was it? Yeah, she did Out of the Shadows, and that's the one I did with. Did we do that, or did I do that with someone else? Either way, yeah, we'll do Unseen Queen. We'll schedule it for April 10th and see how that goes.
Sure.
Next
And
week we'll
then
do
there's
Legacy.
something to do besides Legacy, man.
I feel like we can get through Legacy 1 and then we can take a break from Legacy because there's so much other Legacy to do after that. Hold on. Well, what are you thinking? Let's hold on. I'm gonna load up the thing. Well, hold on. Well, here, before we do that, there's some question. There is a question from Joel that we kind of touched on with his donation at the start of the stream, asking
All
why was
right.
Troy Denning given so much carte blanche to decide the direction of the post NJO era of novels?
I don't think they
And
cared that much.
yeah,
I
like
don't know.
I don't know why Troy Denning was specifically. I think it's just like part of who was available at the time because he ends up being part
He writes what,
of
like 15 books or 10 almost. Maybe not 15,
yeah.
but 12.
Like he does
A
Star by
lot.
Star, and then he does. I think it's really the thing that makes him stick out is that he did this trilogy, and because like he was part of both of the other trilogy or the other nonologies, but so was Aaron Alston, and then he does Crucible.
Mm-hmm.
But like
Brutal.
it feels more like he had such a big input looking back because now it stopped. But there was going to be the other trilogy by is it Christy Golden that was going to do Sword of the
Yeah,
Jedi? And
for
that
the
would have
Jedi.
put
Yeah.
her like essentially on par with, or not on par because she was only in Fate
He's
of the
only
Jedi.
Fate
But
of the
like,
Jedi, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
like she would have started having just as much influence there. It really just is that he wrote these when he wrote them, and then
I would love to
they
read
just
Sword of the
happened.
Jedi.
He writes very
Come
quickly
on,
as well.
man.
That's probably part of it. His like Star by Star is he's got to have more Star Wars pages than
This book
almost
is pretty
anyone
long,
else.
too.
Yeah,
I bet he probably does have more than any.
Star by
Well,
Star alone is like 2 other books.
yeah. Yeah.
Like Stackpole and Alston are close, probably, but
Yeah, Christy Golden did Inferno Squad. That was a good book.
I was looking up the thing, but yeah, I don't know if there's any like specific thing about Troy Denning that made them think like, oh, this is the guy that we want in charge of our cinematic universe. So much as like they didn't know how much they'd be doing, and it just so happened that it got cut off at a time where he was having that much influence. Because I don't know how they thought about the periodization compared to how we do now. Unseen Queen is actually much shorter. That's good.
Oh. Yeah, this one. I probably read this one over like 7 sittings. I just
Yeah,
sit
I
down
read
and
most
read
of it
50
yesterday
pages.
night. But
Yeah.
yeah, this was 544 per Wikipedia. Unseen Queen is 330.
Okay.
And then Swarmore, I think, is like even longer, isn't it? 357. Okay, so they're actually not that long, other
We've
than
read.
Joiner King.
Yeah. Okay.
So next week, what's next week? If we're not doing Legacy,
I don't know. I guess we'll probably end up doing it.
well, let's see.
But is it 554 including the Galicia?
I don't think so. Well, okay, so it might
I
be
think it is
four
because
something. Yeah,
because it was like 450 because I read the paperback for this.
but even then, that's still 100 pages.
Yeah.
But so where are we in Legacy? We got up to 31, I think. Yeah, we
Yeah.
finished Vector. Like, there's Fight Another Day in Storms. We have 3. We could do 3 more Legacy Part 1 episodes, or we could technically make it 2 if we read more.
No.
What's less painful for you?
3.
3 parts. Like, if we do Legacy next time, then we do Fight Another Day Part 1 and 2, Storms Part 1 and 2, and Renegade. So that's 5 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Then the episode after that, we have 41. I fucking hate the ordering of some of these. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. The Tatooine arc. Then we do Monster and Extremes together, which is 8 issues, but that's the final part of it.
Okay.
So we'd be done. We do April 3rd, April 17th, and May 1st, and then we're done Legacy Part 1.
Okay. Let's just worry about next weekend at least, and we'll because we might want to do something for May the 4th or
That's true.
yeah.
But yeah, so where are you putting the Joiner King in your rankings?
That'll be a C for me.
A C for ye. That is a 3. Is that how we do this?
Yeah.
C's get 3s. Yes. I am in the same situation, I think. There were moments where I was considering a B.
Yeah, me too.
Like it's a high C for me. I actually I like the book. I enjoy the book. I think the action's fun. I think a lot of the like dialogue is fun. It's just the philosophical underpinning of what's going on that I end up disliking more than any specific element of it.
For me, it was completely the. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I thought.
I was basically done. I was just saying words at this point.
Yeah, for me, it was completely the writing. I just found it was like whipping me around, and because like I actually sometimes I gotta rush these books, so I actually like sat down and read this because like reading the Han Solo series, I was really flying through those, so maybe parts of those were getting discombobulated because I wasn't paying enough attention. This was just like I'm just reading this and I'm like, why is it like this? And especially the first third, where like things were just happening and like people were just showing up in places, and I didn't like that.
Yeah, like the thinking about it, the way that time works is a bit of a problem, but other than that,
Yeah.
The moment to moment of it, I think is fun, enjoyable.
I agree.
So
Yep,
we
I
actually
agree.
have 90. We have 90 Legends books left.
Wow.
Why do we have 90 Legends books?
There's a lot of them.
Let's see. Allegiance, Choices of One, Cloak of Deception, the Coruscant Knights trilogy, Crosscurrent, Crucible, the Dark Forces books. Okay, those barely count. They're like 20 pages each. Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, Darkness 2 and 3, Darth Maul, Dawn of the Jedi, Into the Void, Death Star, Fate of the Jedi, Legacy of the Force, Honor Among Thieves, Imperial Commando, Republic Commando, Jedi Trial, Kenobi, Knight Errant, Labyrinth of Evil, Lando Calrissian trilogy, Lost Tribe of the Sith, Luke Skywalker and Shadows of Mindor, the other Maul book, Falcon, Outbound Flight. I guess we haven't actually talked about.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I didn't think we'd read it.
Razor's Edge, Rebel Dawn, Red Harvest. We were gonna do Red Harvest this year, right? Because we did.
Yeah, for Halloween.
Yeah. Riptide, Rogue Planet. I'd rather do Rogue Planet sooner than later, just
Yeah,
so
we
that
can do
we've
that.
got the connection with NJO not too far. In all the Tales books, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, Tatooine Ghost, Approaching Storm, Bounty Hunter War, Cestus Deception, all the Clone Wars novelizations, Force Unleashed 1 and 2, Hut Gambit, Last Jedi, New Rebellion, every Old Republic book, Paradise Snare, Ruins of Dantooine, and there's still an X-Wing book coming up.
Mercy Kill, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe if we do Unseen Queen on the 10th, and then we have Swarm War on the 24th. On the 1st, I guess technically for May the 4th, we could maybe do another like revisiting our rankings episode. Because we'll be done Dark Nest, and then we'll be getting into the final phases.
Yep, that'd be good for me.
Okay, we'll hypothetically pencil that in. But that is going to do it.
Then we'll get to the Summer of Legacy of the Force, which I'm excited for.
That'd be a fun summer.
It would.
Of discussing all the main thing that people complain about us for spoiling. I imagine.
Read it.
I just assume that's what people are complaining about with spoilers. I don't know what else there could be as an overarching like Legends plot. What else could people complain about?
Just read the books.
But we are going to be live on X2 in about 10 minutes-ish, allegedly. Playing some Mario Kart, doing some Star Wars Unlimited pack openings again, maybe. But
yeah,
got some?
I got that fucking thing on me at all times.
Okay, got a Twilight of the Republic pack or box behind me. I don't know. Right there.
Kelsey came into my office and moved some stuff around, just tidying up, and she moved the giant stack of cards. So I'm gonna take that, and she didn't say anything, so I'm gonna take that as implicit acknowledgement that what I'm doing is okay.
There's gonna be divorce papers on your desk tomorrow.
She does.
Hope to see some of you there. We'll be back next week with Legacy. What did we say? It's Fight Another Day in Storms. So be there or be there the next week for Unseen Queen.
Understandable.
And subscribe to our political swap channels.
Wait until we get to Legacy of the Force. I get it. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.